one of my favorites. By the way, we're walking through my whole strolling down my Frankfurt, Germany memory lane. We had Jason McCourty last week. Now I got Dan Orlovsky. Can't quit my guys from Germany last year. Good to see you, Dan Orlovsky. How are you, brother?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I am doing a lot better now that we only have a couple games to watch on a weekly basis than 16. So I look forward to the lighter load of playoff football.
Yeah, you can zero in on just only a handful of film. Let's jump in. I'll ask you the first question I asked Kurt Warner, my other quarterback friend who is as deadly accurate watching all 22 as you, Dan. What do you see with the Steelers' offense that's disappeared over the last 4 weeks that you think potentially they can find in time to turn things around against Baltimore? What do you think?
Yeah, thankfully, Kurt and I had the same careers as well, same accomplishments. So,
no, you're both.
Well, I'm thankful that you put my name in with his obviously Hall of Famer. So it's one. There's two parts to every offense, right? It's your pass game and your run game. One, their run game, and really the main issue all season long. This isn't Russell Wilson being the quarterback or after Justin Fields. They don't do a good job of getting to the second level in their run game. There is consistently a misidentification of, okay, I'm the center and I'm the guard, and we're going to run a double team, and we have to run the double team to this second level player, a linebacker, and one person will go to him and one person won't, or they'll completely leave a guy. So they've struggled with that in the run game all season long. Or they'll whiff at it. So I think that's been an issue. That's why sometimes their run game is okay. Like they'll rip off an 8-yard run. And then sometimes you're like, the last 3 runs, we've gotten -1 yard. So that's the main issue in their run offense. Their pass offense is really twofold. We want to throw the ball on the perimeter, 1-on-1 down the field, 9 out of 10 times to George Pickens. If you don't give them that, if you structurally play with the safety over the top and don't give them that, there's not much of the pass game that they feel comfortable going to outside of maybe a Freiermuth on a corner route or an out route, but that's about it. Russell does not see the middle of the field well right now. That's kind of been the story of the past couple of years for us. That's why I always get fascinated when I still watch teams defensively occasionally still play Pickens 1-on-1. And so if you don't give them that, imagine it like you're playing another sport like a pitcher. If you don't allow the pitcher to throw the fastball, he's got nothing else. And that's right now their fastball. And when it's there, they have a shot to have some success on offense. If it's not, they really don't have a second pitch to get to.
So, my goodness, how did it work when he took over from 4-2 to 10-3? Was it the level of opponent? Is that what it was, or the weather wasn't as cold?
No, I mean, honestly, a lot of teams were playing Pickens 1-on-1. If you go, I think the first game was the Jets game, if I'm right, or one of the early games.
It was Jets and then Giants. Yeah, that's what it was.
They played him 1-on-1 a ton, and he hit those 1-on-1 balls. And then he played Washington, and they played him 1-on-1, and he hit the big ball down the field. And so a lot of their offense is just that. And I think teams have caught on to that. I think teams have caught on to the fact of, hey, even if you're going to play them 1-on-1, you play them a little softer, the ball's probably still going to go down the field on the go route. But if you just play a safety over the top, they really don't have anything to do offensively. And I think what teams have realized is that's really the thing that they're going to struggle with. Specifically, if you get them down into that 30-yard range into the red zone area, if you take that away, it's a big struggle because all they want to do is throw it to Pickens or maybe down the middle of the field to Austin. He's hit that twice this year. You take that away, they struggle.
Yeah. I mean, Rod Woodson, once upon a time, Dan, told me the most adaptable organism on planet Earth is an NFL defense. That's what he said.
There you go. Yeah.
That's what he told me once upon a time. And that's a perfect example of all of that.
It'll be even more prevalent in the playoffs, because the playoffs become even more game plan specific. In the regular season, you're in this rat race almost as a team. You're just all right, Monday's our day off, Tuesday's our day off, or Monday's recap, Tuesday's day off. Wednesday, we start with the game plan. These teams have known these matchups, obviously, for the week, and it's so much more game plan specific of we've got such a greater understanding of who you are and what you want to do, and we're going to take that away and make you play to your B or C game. And so I think it'll even show itself more this weekend.
Dan Orlovsky from ESPN here on the Rich Eisen Show. Give me which is the wild card weekend matchup you're most looking forward to seeing, Dan?
I'm most interested in Buffalo, Denver.
Really?
I'll be clear. I think Buffalo wins the game.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to pick a game that I could see the upset happening, it's that one. Okay. And that's the one that gives me the most fear if I was a Buffalo fan, because one, Patrick Surtain changes everything that Buffalo wants to do and has had success doing this season. Denver treats Surtain like the Jets and Rex Ryan used to treat Darrelle Revis. We're going to put you on one side of the field and you put an X on that side of the field. And so I'll go super deep with the X's and O's here, Rich. So sure. One of the things that Buffalo's done great this year, and everybody in the playoffs does it, I think Buffalo does it as well as anybody, if not the best, is they get into these 4-by-1 formations. They put 4 guys to one side of the field. They put 1 guy to the back side of the field. And that 1 guy it's simple for the quarterback. They put him on an easy route, a slant or a stop or a go. And they say, hey, if you like the matchup or if it's free access, Josh, throw it there. And if not, well, we have 4 guys to the other side of the field. So we're just going to throw an easy RPO, like a flat route, or we'll throw a bubble screen, or we'll throw a little in and out route. It's easy operation, or we'll run the ball, and so as an offense, we gain advantages and stuff like that. I have 3 plays at once. If I don't like my one-on-one because the corner is really good, or they play with the safety over the top, well, great. Well, if you play with the safety over the top, it's math. You have 1 less person over to my 4-man side. And if you're going to play with try to have a high safety over there, well, then I'm running the football. And so Buffalo has been great at that this year. Denver can just take Surtain to the 1-person side and say, you cut it off. You play by yourself, and it's favorable for Denver in that situation. 2 things that does is it allows them to have a body near the run and allows them to have an extra body near the 4-man side. So now the advantage that Buffalo has had is taken away. So that gives me concern. I think the second thing is their defensive line is big, fast, and athletic. Jonathan Cooper is fantastic. Zach Allen is tremendous. Nick Bonito is the key for me. Bonito's a defensive player of the year candidate. And if you watch him play against Patrick, he's the spy guy. And Josh loves to run versus man coverage, which is what Denver does. And he's big and he's physical and fast. He can match up against Josh. And so that just gives me a little bit of hesitation. I think this defense is a really good unit, and Buffalo is going to have to play very well to have some success.
No kidding. All right, so then give me the team that has the best shot at one and done in Kansas City when that division round comes along. Unless you think that doesn't happen, I'll give you the floor.
No,
there.
I do. I think the team that has the best shot is Baltimore. I really do. My heart wants to say Buffalo, but Baltimore. I think that Baltimore has the ability to and I just did their game in Week 18 versus Cleveland, and one of the overwhelming takeaways for me was how much Derrick Henry has changed everything in the building. Todd Monken, their offensive coordinator, said to me, as long as we are staying ahead of the chains, I don't think anybody can stop us. In many ways, that's what he went about saying, because his comment was, that was my perception of his comment. His comment said, when we run the ball, it gates us the opportunity to do it again. And when we run the ball successfully, it keeps Derrick Henry on the field. And if they get into 2nd and 10, Derrick comes off the field a lot because they're bringing in a Justice Hill as a pass catching back, or a run, or a blitz protecting back. And so I just think that philosophically, they're at a point where they sit there and go, we don't even care if we're predictable. We're going to put Patrick Ricard on the field. We got 6 guys that are 300 pounds. You're going to see Derrick Henry back there, and we're just going to say, stop it. Try and stop it. And I think that's a lot for a defense, specifically in Kansas City or Buffalo, to try to contend against. And I think Baltimore's in a very confident mindset when it comes to that.
I don't know, Dan. I'm concerned when it comes to the Ravens that their 345-pound people don't want to run back interceptions and just take a knee. They had a chance for
greatness. Had a chance for greatness.
I love that moment. That was so great when Michael Pierce picked that off. The reaction of the 3 of you in the booth, and then you were just ready to go nuts, and then he took a knee. That was so funny, dude.
It was so great. Fowler was fantastic on it. Lewis is like, he didn't go one, he went two. It felt like watching Eli Manning. You know, it was like, it was so unbelievable. Obviously, I work with Marcus so much, and Marcus is always highlighting these big men. He calls them balling. And so, and the crazy thing was, Rich, you know, we got our press box is obviously above the home sideline.
Yeah.
Imagine like a pack of bees like flying the whole sideline just in one giant group of massive people was just kind of weaving to him and then off to the field. And it was like this really cool, joyous, funny, unbelievable moment. And it was really cool to be a part. I could not believe that he went down that quickly.
That's too bad. It's just I did just want to see 5 more yards out of him. You know, just see where it would go. Just
the thing, you know. My mind went into the contrast to I think the Saunders kid from New Orleans when he got the pick against Kansas City on the goal line, and it was like, this is my moment. I'm gonna have this time, and so. I would have loved to see him go longer, but this, if he didn't, this was equally as funny.
You know who didn't want to see him go longer? His lungs.
Yeah, that's right. Probably might. Right. Exactly. It just reminded me. Remember Robert Hunt of the Dolphins, who had no business. He intercepted his own screen pass. Right. Like he saw glory and he was going to go for it. It's like the exact opposite, you know. And he was an illegal man, actually going for glory. It was my God,
it was awesome.
That was funny. Awesome. A few minutes left with Dan Orlovsky of ESPN here on the Rich Eisen Show. I mean, 13 names on the list currently of the Chicago Bears inviting people in or asking permission to speak with them for their head coaching job. I wrote down 6 offensive names here: Todd Monken, Joe Brady, Ben Johnson, my guy David Shaw, Mike Kafka, Arthur Smith. Name you the one that you think Bears fans should say, go get. Oh, Drew Petzing as well of Arizona. Who do you think is the fit? Who's the fit for the Bears if that's the way they go, to just attach an offensive mind to Caleb Williams?
I think it's really dangerous to get caught up in we have to attach the offensive mind. I think Chicago is one of those cities that just has to play a certain style of football. They have to. And if you get caught up in we're going to go only look at the offensive perspective, I'll be honest, you know, like a lot of times the people who are the best person for the quarterback aren't like the toughest. You know, they aren't necessarily the guys that are going to bring about the toughest culture that I really believe Chicago has to play in because of the elements that they're consistently in. And so you don't see a lot of quarterback people notorious for being tough asses, you know? And so I think you got to be cautious if you're Chicago, just getting caught in all the, oh my gosh, it's only about Caleb Williams. I understand that it matters. Caleb's remarkably talented. As long as you surround him with good coaching and competent coaching, I think he's going to become a really good player. I just think the overall temperament of that coach, the overall philosophy of how that coach truly believes in how you have to play, not how he says it, but truly believes in the nature of how you have to play should be more important than, man, this guy's X's and O's are really good for the quarterback. And so obviously it's a big group of people. I don't know exactly who I think is the absolute best bet scheme-wise, but I do know that you better be sure that the identity is the best for the offense and the team rather than just Caleb.
Yeah, I know Pete Carroll's being interviewed for the job as well. I know Vrabel.
Yeah, I would say this. I'm not just Chicago. My gut tells me that some of these teams, and I would imagine Chicago's in the group, probably want to talk to Marcus Freeman, Ryan Day, Steve Sarkisian. I would imagine, you know, if one of those coaches at least is going to lose this weekend, I would not be surprised if some of these NFL teams decided to put requests in for those guys, because all of them have, I think, outside of Marcus, some NFL attachment as well.
Yeah. I mean, David Shaw, I love that guy, man. I spent so much time with him on a draft set. I just know the way his brain works. I just know the type of person he is. I mean, he'd be a great face front person in the NFL, and he has the NFL experience as well. Because what you're saying, again, is if you can find a CEO who also has the offensive brain, maybe. I mean, that's why I guess Andy Reid's kind of like a unicorn in a way, right? I mean, or Sean Payton. You know,
And who's going with them? It doesn't have to be this elite play caller. I'm fans of a lot of them. I'm fans of a lot of them. And I always say this to people, the thing that everyone has forever lost sight of when it comes to Sean McVay is he's brilliant football wise. He's a better leader. And that was so evident when I was there in that fall of 2017, and I sat in that first meeting with Sean McVay. You saw like this guy controls the room. He gets how to connect with people and relate to guys. The way that he would get on the field and just manage the practice and communicate. And so, yes, brilliant offensively, X's and O's, but like he's got this gravitational leadership skill that is absolutely, at the forefront. So I love these X's and O's, but he better have that as well. It can't just be the X's and O's because we've fallen victim to that in the NFL. So if they've got both, obviously, but if it's a David Shaw, who's he bringing with him as his offensive guy? Maybe he's got an offensive coordinator that you're like, man, I love this connection with the Caleb Williams and the scheme marriage. And so it doesn't have to be this guy's a great play caller.
So then I guess in the minute I have left with you, the job opening that's the most attractive, what do you think? It is which one?
Yeah, I think right now it's probably New England. I think you're the guy after the guy, so that's a little bit more appealing.
Right.
Drake May, I think, has shown this year like there's a lot of potential for him to be a big-time player. They got a ton of cash. There's some young talent on the roster. It needs to get rebuilt, no doubt about it. I do still think Chicago's a good place. They got to build their line of scrimmage a little bit more offensively. But I think because you have two young, talented quarterbacks, that's probably the place that I'm most intrigued in because those, all right, I've got guys that I feel have a pretty darn good chance for the future.
Yeah, you're right. So the next head coach there, along with Drake May, will be the coach quarterback after the guys who are after the guys. That's and an ownership group that can't believe that they're part of the one and done ownership club that wouldn't want to do that again. So know that,
for sure.
Yep.
And you don't have to follow Bill.
Interesting. Dan, you're the best, bro. Thanks again for the time. Let's do this again soon, and I hope to see you in New Orleans, if not before.
Of course, brother. Be well.
Right back at you. The one and only Dan Orlovsky right here from ESPN. I love that.
Great T-shirt on Dan as well.
What? The standard is
standard is the standard.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.